So welcome. Let me just turn off screen share for a sec. Welcome 40S students back. Thanks for your patience. The 30S students, I'll be kind of done their example probably at the end of class tomorrow, which means I could spend more time with you guys just like I could here in class. But I also realize that that's a bit more of a tax on your time. But what I will probably do after tomorrow, so it's probably starting Wednesday, is I will do our advanced classes example in the first half of the period. So you guys don't have to wait until 11:30. You'll get the time right away. And then I'll probably from 11:30 on have that as open time. So I'll switch the timeline starting Wednesday for you guys. Okay. And actually, let's take a second now to look at where we are in our example. So for us in 40S, as of last week, for the 3 days of remote learning, I put it up on our website, including the recorded classes. The 2 recorded classes are there. I'll do that after today's class. I'll put a link to this recorded class for today. Okay. If we were to look at our schedule, we're basically right on schedule. The plan for today was to continue to look at, well, static methods is done, okay? But today we'll be looking at this concept called polymorphism. That will probably go into tomorrow. And then you can see by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, into next week would be finishing this massive advanced classes example. I do anticipate we'll probably be ahead of schedule. We'll probably be ahead of schedule by the end of next week. So I'm thinking by about midweek next week, the advanced classes example will be done. And then they'll be preparing for coming back off of remote learning. But we'll talk about that next week. Right now, we got to focus on the example itself. But we are on schedule, if not a little ahead of schedule in general. Okay, remember, if my speaker goes dead, I apologize. If you ask a question over the microphone and I don't answer, please put something in the chat because I may not hear you at that time. So I'm not hearing any questions. So that's good. If you need to update your example, including any comments, remember you can go to GitHub and grab that example from Computer Science 40S. Either copy and paste or download the entire project if that is something you wanted to do. Okay. Remember as well, there is an expectation and a goal to finish any technical troubles this week, so that by next week, I'm not having to deal with installing NetBeans. But again, I'm not sure there is any technical troubles with U40S. There may not be. All right, let's dive in to where we left off. So we have a person class, really good, included an end of the world static method by the end of the week. Didn't do much, but it's a static method, and a static property was put into the student class with the static variables and the static properties. That was the last thing we did in our testing class. However, by the end of last week, what we also did was we set up a bunch of classes for what we're going to be doing today. So by the end of last week, we added to our project folder here, our package, we added a baker class, a doctor, a high school, husky, a meeting, and a piper. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 classes were added right at the end of class last week. We didn't do anything with those classes, but we added them. What I want to show you guys today we're going to do with those classes is we're going to interconnect them. So I'm going to show you kind of how they're going to be interconnected, and also remind you of where our to-do list is at this point. Okay, so here's our to-do list. As you can see, there isn't a lot of concepts left, although this and this are big concepts, so kind of get into those. And as you can see, our vocabulary list does not have a lot of stuff left. Okay, so we have done a ton already in this unit, especially, sorry, my chair is very squeaky today, especially for those students who hadn't studied classes formally in 30S because of the pandemic. I took more time to go over classes in general. So this stuff at the beginning of this unit, the stuff that was in gray here, and in gray over here, technically is review of what's covered in the 30S course, but I wanted to kind of strengthen it for those that didn't study this, because classes is a huge concept. You might remember the last time I drew out how all our classes were connected. This was the drawing I had, right, of how all those classes are connected. And the guide here that you can use is this type of arrow or this type of arrow implies an inheritance relationship, or is a, or wait a minute, am I sharing my screen with you guys? I am not sharing my screen with you guys. Nobody said nothing.
I was confused. I was about to say something.
I am so sorry. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, so let's go back to this checklist. You're just hearing me talk and seeing my animated stupid face there instead of actually seeing there. Okay, so here's our checklist of the things that, stuff we did. And here is the diagram. My computer's really sluggish right now. Okay, so here is the diagram of the classes we built to this point. In this unit, we built these ones: student, person, teacher, and book. Okay, I know we added a bunch on Friday. The relationship here that I'm drawing out involves is-a and has-a, right? Is-a is the relationship where two classes inherit from one another, and has-a is where one class just uses the other class or is composed of the other class, okay? The different arrowheads and the different line styles kind of diagram this out. If we just focus on just from this unit, okay? As I said, it's book, person, and student. But now I want to show you how these new classes are going to relate to the ones that we already have. So for example, high school is a student. So the high school class will inherit from the student class. Husky is a high school. So it will inherit from high school, which is inheriting from student, which is inheriting from person. Piper also will inherit from high school. Doctor and baker, they just inherit from person. A doctor is a person. A baker is a person. And the Mr. Walks class inherits from teacher. So Mr. Walks is I think I missed that one, is a teacher. Teacher has a student, so it relates that way. So that's kind of a guide as to where it's going. If you were to now see the entire diagram, it would look like this. You guys have no idea how long it took for me to draw that for you guys, but that's my job, right? So I drew that out so that it looks nice-ish, for you guys can see all these classes that we've been building. Now, not these classes. These classes are built right into Java. We don't need to build those ones. We also don't need to build the object class. But all the other classes represent all the classes we've written since the start of this course. And considering when you start in 30S computer science, you start with just with one class and one method, it shows how far you've come. So you've now made multiple classes and multiple methods within each of those classes to show you that your code is really advancing further and further along. And this is more realistic to the way coding is done. The organization level keeps going up and up and up. Okay, so using this as a guide, let's start putting together these relationships, starting with high school. High school is a student. So we're going to go to the class called high school. And we're going to go to the line that is called the signature line of the class, public class high school. Say high school extends is a student. So there, a high school is a student, okay? The only other thing we would need to do is when high school is constructed, it also constructs a student. And we don't have a default student constructor. There is no way to build a high school without building a student. So we'd have to go to the superclass. And if we tried to call a default constructor, it would say, you can't do that. So here's my advice. What we're going to do is we'll leave most of the template alone. It's going to have toString in it. It's going to have equals. It's going to have clone in it. We don't need to worry about those. The only one that's slightly changed is toString. Adds the word high school to it, but that's fine. What I want you to do is actually delete the default constructor could just get rid of it. So it's gone, okay? And then what I want you to do is make a constructor that has those parameters. So if you want, you can even copy and paste them from the student class. String name, int age, int student number. And then make a call to the superclass where you can give it the name, the age, and the student number. So when it builds a high school, it builds a student. So you have to build a new constructor that way. For it to build a high school, it has to build a student. This should accomplish this. Now we've made a high school, which is a student, and it can be constructed. Now, we're going to do the same thing for Husky. Husky extends high school. Okay? It extends high school. So now when I build a Husky, I'm going to also give it the name, the age, and the student number. And I will go to the superclass and pass those to that. I'm just going to get rid of the comment for now. Don't worry about the comments. But that's how I build a Husky. I build a Husky by building a high school. I build a high school by building a student. I build a student by giving it the name, the age, and the student number. And a student ends up building a person. Okay? But that's neither here nor there. What matters is we've now, in our example, we've now built a high school and we build a Husky. Now let's build a Piper. So same thing. If you want to cheat a little bit and just copy this whole constructor, Piper, paste in the constructor and just change the name of it from Husky to Piper. That should work too. Once a Piper extends high school. So there's how I create Piper. Piper extends high school. Piper uses the same constructor as Husky. Okay. If it's using the template though, it will also change the toString method a little bit too. Okay. So now, if you look at this diagram, the way I have it planned out, now that these three classes are done, I could instantiate them in my advanced classes test class. But you will notice, I said that the advanced classes test class has a Husky and have a Piper, but I did not say it would have a high school. I'm not going to instantiate high school, just Husky and Piper. Okay, so let's go to the testing class, and we're now going to do that. We're going to instantiate, okay, we're going to create objects or instances. When I say create, I mean instantiate, fancy word, objects, instances of the new classes. So let's make Husky. Husky equals, and I have to import this thing because it's in another package, equals a new Husky. Oh, I don't know. Havoc, that's a good name for a Husky. What's its age? I don't know. 18. What's its student number? I think I've got better numbers. Let's have a little fun here. Sturgeon Heights. If you look at Sturgeon Heights on the internet, the address of Sturgeon Heights, which will make its student number, is 2665 Ness. So let's have a little fun. Let's make that its student number, 2665 of Husky to Havoc. For age, instead of 18, I'm actually going to use the number 12, which is the number of years Sturgeon Heights as a high school has existed for 12 years. I know, I've been here all 12. So there's my Husky class object. Now let's make a Piper. Piper. Piper, and yes, I need to import Piper. And it also needs a name. Now I'm going to use a weird name here. I think I've spelled it wrong. For this one, I'll go 18. The reason, again, I'm having a little fun with this, the reason I'm picking 18 here is just for fun. Let's look up John Taylor, which is the high school, by the way, I went to. And my son currently goes to. Good high school. Not maybe as good as Sturgeon Heights, but good high school. Okay. Its address is on Hamilton, so 470. The reason I picked Yosemite is what I was trying to spell there. Is for any of you who know what the the John Taylor mascot is, it's this thing, a piper. But for those of you who've maybe seen the Bugs Bunny cartoon and Yosemite Sam, if I was to take a look at the image, that's Yosemite Sam, and that's the piper. Yeah, they stole it. So Yosemite, did I spell it right? I did. Be the name of my piper, just for fun. Okay. So those are the things I'm going to create, and I'm going to output them just for kicks. So output Husky, output Piper. I only got 2 minutes left, so let's see how that works. There we go. Here's my Husky, which is a high school, which is a person. Havoc is 12, student number, and then Yosemite is 18, student number. We get the idea. Actually, let's make him 51, because I'm a piper, so I'm that Yosemite Sam at 51, although my beard isn't red. There we go. Okay, now, real quick, we have 1 minute left. I'm also going to do doctor and baker. Really easy. So for doctor, okay, it extends person. And I can do that with doctor, and I can do that with baker. Now, the person class does have a default constructor where nothing is put in there. So when I build a doctor, I can just make a call to the superclass. I don't need to do anything fancy. Just make a doctor, make a person. I can do the exact same thing with baker. And now let's instantiate those. Doctor equals new doctor. Oh no, out of time. I can do this though. Oops. And baker. Word it, that's what I did. New baker. Okay, and I can output those two things. Now we are done. So I'm going to say goodbye to you guys, and I will be stopping the video, and I will be updating GitHub in a moment. Have a great day, guys. Tomorrow we'll continue where we left off today on this. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.